to be very hard for you to come up with like the definition, right? Because it's already a part of our life, right? It's everything that we do. And you can't go a day without having internet. That's like death sentence. It's like being in prison, right? That's like the best form of punishment that anyone can have at this point in time. So that's where the blockchain is going into. But for now, we are still in that process, and we just go over what the blockchain is. So blockchain is a peer-to-peer system or transfer of value, where you can send money, crypto, from one person, from one wallet to another wallet, or to another person without necessarily needing an intermediary. And then with the advent of Ethereum blockchain, you can do more with, other than just sending value or sending funds. Yeah, so you can do more than that with Ethereum. You can actually program, right, how this money should be spent, how it should be transferred, and what conditions or what basis it can be transferred. And then you can't even talk about blockchain without talking about some of the use cases of the blockchain, such as crypto. I'm sure some of us would have heard about different blockchain solutions, different blockchain networks, different cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Luna, yeah. Yeah, so I'm sure we have some crypto traders here as well. So people do crypto trading, crypto. Some people are mostly focused on DeFi investment, things like borrow, lending, liquidity pools, farming, flash loans, and all of those sorts. And we have crypto gaming, because I'm sure a lot of us too have heard about that, where you have a play to earn, you play games and then you earn cryptos on it. We have NFTs, metaverses. But one interesting thing is that you can be in the crypto space and just be a consumer. And by consumer, I mean users of products, right? So you could just be comfortable using products, you'd be comfortable, buying crypto, holding crypto, investing crypto for return, but there's like more that you can do in the blockchain ecosystem or in the Web3 ecosystem. And I'm going to talk, like I said, you can be involved as, a user of products, right? But why that's not sufficient enough, why I think that, I'm here to make a case, right, for building or creating a career in blockchain. So why I think using blockchain products is not efficient is that, so you could buy crypto today, you could buy, now, things are, the market is red, right? So it's a good time to buy in, right? So you could buy, cool. You could, be working outside of the blockchain space and like, hey, I can benefit from the blockchain space, which is cool, right? So you buy crypto every month and then you just invest, or you buy crypto every month and you just hold, and you're like, okay, let me just, be trading and be making profit of it. Or let me just, game and stuff like that, which are all interesting stuff, or ways to be involved in the ecosystem. But take this scenario, for example. You buy crypto today, or let's take the Luna, USD people, as an example. So imagine you work so hard, probably in the crypto space, you work so hard and you put all your funds into buying crypto, right? And you need money for some urgent use. And that's why people tell you that do not take all your money into crypto. It's not like crypto is bad, but hey, if you have urgent use of money, do not put it into crypto because you can't really predict the market, although people can try, right, to do that, but you can't predict it 100%. So you buy crypto and you need money for something. The value of a crypto is down, right? How do you get funds to do certain stuff, right? So in that case, right, you have to just like leave your funds. You probably use some DeFi borrowing protocol to sort of like borrow against your cryptocurrency. Then borrow against your cryptocurrency, you also have to know the risks that also comes with that, right, in the sense of like liquidation. So you have to be sure that you're following the market to be sure that your collateral is not liquidated, because yeah, that's one way you can also lose as well. But yeah, so you get crypto, you do hard work outside of the blockchain or Web3 space. You get crypto, you invest your crypto, you buy crypto, and all of this stuff, right? But you can't compare that to when you are working and you get cryptos in like different forms or different ways, right? As opposed to just buying or just doing all of this stuff. And one other beautiful thing about working in the blockchain or crypto space is that you also get some opportunities, right, in terms of like, just getting some crypto equity, even plus your pay, your base pay in the company. So on the slide here, right, you can just see, we've talked, the previous slide was talking about just how the demand for crypto and blockchain skill is growing or has been growing over time, because people or companies, industries are now beginning to see blockchain way beyond just an experimental technology, because that's how most people have been seeing it. That's how the government sees a quick reach scheme, right? But there's more to the technology, and a lot of people are beginning to buy into that, right? And we're going to see like some of those industries or areas are beginning to see crypto or blockchain in a different light. You see banking and finance, you see crypto native companies, right? There's been a huge rise of crypto native companies beyond just the traditional company. Because when there's a new technology, first thing that people tend to do, which is like, one way of just learning, right? You want to go from the known to the unknown, right? So there's this transition from the known to the unknown. Okay, I know this. This is how we do things now. How can we, slap blockchain on it or slap Web3 on it and make it a blockchain stuff, right? So there's that one, and then there's, okay, this is a new technology. What can we build native to this technology? And that's what we see in a time of, Web 2, when social media companies were rising, right? Social media company was based on that technology, the Web 2 move, right? Where you can it's not just you reading data, reading information from websites, but you can also be a contributor. You can also create content, and then it led to the rise of social media companies. That's the way we're seeing different crypto native companies coming up in the space. And then supply chains, so another industry, one area where blockchain is really needed, and they already begin to see the importance of blockchain, because when you want to track or trace goods from one site to another, you want to ensure that the goods or the product is tamper-proof. Although this stuff's like, they're still ongoing, but I bet you it's going to get to a time where this thing is going to be as regular. You're buying a product and you already know that you can verify that this product is authentic and is unique, and it's so easy to do that. Just get a very, very nice, maybe QR code or very nice small hash, and then you can verify. And it's going to be very easy to do that. So we're getting to that point. Same thing with healthcare, retail, e-commerce, infrastructure companies, right? Because as more blockchain come up, more blockchain solution comes up, more people, want to be part of the blockchain system as a node or a miner. You want to start looking out for cloud providers that provide this, and you see Infura running in that space where almost everybody has an Infura project ID, right? Most devs have like an Infura project ID that they're using to interact with the blockchain, because to interact with the blockchain is a network of computers, right? Doesn't mean that when you want to interact with the blockchain or when you want to send a transaction to the blockchain, it just goes full, like to the hair, and all the nodes just catch it, everybody just take it at once. But it goes through, there has to be an entry point. So there has to be a node that you're sending your transaction through. So that's why if you're a dev, you probably always want to get one RPC node that you're using on your project to send transactions to the chain, right? So Infura, products like Infura, and some other products are already running in this space, and there is demand. They want skills, right? They want skilled talent. And somebody will ask that, okay, they want skilled talent, is the technology. We have skilled talents, there's Web 2. We have a lot of software engineers, product managers, everything, everybody, we have them. So why are they looking for skilled talent? But the thing is that blockchain, yes, is a technology. Yes, there are a couple of things, a lot of stuff that's very similar with, that's still similar with blockchain. On the blockchain, you still have front end. You still have to see a website. You still have to see all of this stuff. You still have product managers, you still have communities, all these things, are there. But you need to understand that there is a way that the blockchain technology works that it's kind of different from how we're used to things, right? So if you want to interact with a product, or as an engineer you want to build a product, you're thinking of authentication, you're thinking of sign up, you're thinking of authentication, email and password, you're thinking about sending recovery email. You're putting all of these things into perspective, thinking about email marketing. How do you send emails? How do you keep your target or your whatever the marketing guys calls it, your something code or hot. Yeah, but to do that in the blockchain space is it's not marketing as usual, kind of. It's not community as usual. It's not dev as usual, but I mean, it's still based on the same principle, right? I mean, you see that transferable skills. So, yes, transferable skills, transferable ideas, transferable knowledge, but it still has its own unique properties: decentralization, distribution, transparency. This is unlike we used to know it. I mean, which Web2 product would you go to an explorer and see everything about a transaction and see everything about an address? I mean, you can even track addresses and transactions. Where do you do that, right? So blockchain has opened a whole new way of seeing things, right? A whole new way of seeing transactions, seeing ownership, seeing transferability, and all of those stuff. And it begs for and it calls for talent, resources that understand how the blockchain works and are able to use those skills that we already have, transfer it in such a way that is blockchain native. So if you go to the next slide, this is me majorly making a case, and I'm just going to try to sort of like be fast so that we don't get to waste time. So making a case for smart building a career in blockchain, demand for skill. There is high demand for skill, and I think I've already laid some premises for this, right? So there's high demand for skill in the space, right? And I'm so sorry that what you're seeing there is engineering. Yes, because it's engineering. I mean, I'm so sorry it's engineering that you're seeing there, but there are a lot of other skills demand in the blockchain space, right? So you can see that, so this statistics, right, is gotten from hire.com, and a lot of reputable sources also pointing to Hired as well. And then you can see sort of like the statistics that they have and the demand for like these skills. Now, please ignore the ones under. It's not to say that front-end engineers are not in high demand. It's just to say that we're talking about like over a given period of time, what people are asking for, because there's front-end engineers already, but are there blockchain engineers as much as there are, existing skills? And this is like what people are like demanding for in the space. So you can see over 570% demand for like blockchain engineers. So why is this, right? Like I said earlier, more companies are beginning to realize the importance of blockchain, and they will continue to realize, more companies will continue to get into the field, because you know that late adopters, right? People that want to just see, okay, let's see. Let's just see where this thing is going to, and eventually they all buy into the same stuff. And I think that's a general principle of life, right? So if you are holding a stick and you tell people that this stick is a wine or something, I mean, people will laugh at you, this and that, but if you're consistent in that over time, people start coming like, but boss, now, how's this one wine now? Tell me about it. And so some other stuff, I'm not saying that, that's exactly how it is, but consistency, growth, right, draws people. And that's the thing about success. When you're successful, I mean, when you're not successful, a lot of people don't really care about you. I mean, some people don't really know you, right? But once you're successful, everybody is like, okay, my party be that. We know we go way back. I know for school now. This guy no man now. You see all this kind of stuff, and that's the same thing with the blockchain technology, right? So when it started, everybody was like, hey, scam, MMM, this and that. It's not scale. It's using too much computing power, this and that. A lot of stuff. But because it's a new technology, it's been growing over time, and things are getting better. A lot of other L2 solutions are coming up that's making this thing really, really scalable, right? And people are coming into the space, and we'll continue to have that. So you see more cryptocurrencies coming out, needing engineers, needing community managers, needing marketers, needing tokenomists, and all of these skills. You see more IoT devices utilizing blockchain, because IoT devices, I mean, you have like sensors and stuff on cars and houses and all of this stuff, and all of these things, what do? They're majorly heavy on data, transmitting data from one source to another. Are you sure that this data that is being transmitted is genuine, is authentic, and it's not being tampered with, right? So you see cases like that, like there's been more demand in all of this space. More traditional companies utilizing blockchain, so they're not actually maybe native blockchain solutions, but they are Web2 solutions, but utilizing blockchains in different forms. And then you have like more native blockchain companies being launched. And I mean, I think that's a good case for demand for skill, why there should be more demand for blockchain skills. And if we go to the next slide, it's just, we're going to scarcity of skills. Now we've established that there's a demand for skill. There's skills, and then we have those skills. Like I said, we have a lot of these skills, but some of them need to be transferred, because these are transferable skills. Front-end engineer, blockchain still needs front-end engineer. There's no blockchain product that will go and start saying, okay, we have a smart contract and that's it, we end there, right? People need to relate. It's a user focus because every technology is a means to solving a problem. Blockchain is not a solution in itself, right? A solution is what you're utilizing blockchain to give. So every product, everything out there that's trying to solve a problem, right? Always trying to, that's why I tell people that, see, if you're buying into a crypto, and this is just me, my own advice, if you want to buy cryptocurrency, it's not just every cryptocurrency that you can start buying. You look at a lot of things that you need to consider. What problem is this stuff solving? What is the community all about? What's the crypto all about? What's the growth trajectory for this coin? And all of those stuff, a lot of things that you have to consider. But yeah, so there is demand for skill, and now there's scarcity of skills. And then this is, based on like the founder of Consensus, Joseph Lubin, in his presentation, stating that there are over 30 million software developers globally, and yet the number of blockchain developers are like in several of hundreds, right? We don't have a lot, we don't have enough, because the rate of supply is less than the rate of the way people demand it, or companies are demanding this, and that is building, or it's showing us an opportunity. Because when there is high demand, there's low supply, what happens to the price? It actually goes up. So there's like an opportunity, and you see why it's good to get into this space now, right? Because now is the time that, I don't want to use that word cash out, because this is my in for the long term, actually. So, but guys, this is like a time to cash out, jolly, it's still hot, right? I mean, there will still continue, there will always continue to be demand, but imagine these 30 million people now transfer their skills to blockchain. I mean, there's still going to be a lot of money there, but hey, it's not like the early adopters or people that came in early in the space, right? So yeah, so there's scarcity of skills, and then if you go into the next slide, you will then see that here, this is what we just talked about now. So this starts here, right? This value here, I checked many sites, and trust me, the numbers or the values, the figures were, I don't know where they should get those figures for, where they say 0 to 1 year is only like $120,000 per year. People will not be working, you'll not be like, now only me work come. Why am I saying $500? Those stuff. So that's why I had to hey, let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be Africans. Let's be Nigerians. And, we have those figures here, because this is something that is achievable, 0 to 1 year. And then when I say 0 to 1 year, it's more realistic when you have maybe some kind of transferable skill. Like you're in Web 2, you're a dev in Web 2, you're front-end engineer, you're a software engineer, you're a marketer, you're community person. You have all of these skills, and it's in demand in blockchain. Almost everything in Web 2 is needed in Web 3, but with the understanding of the technology. So somebody's asking, how do I fit in? How do I come in? Where's the place for me and everything? Trust me, almost everything in Web 2 is a skill that can be transferred onto like Web 3 and blockchain. So, and then I also mentioned earlier that possible token allocation and equity, right? So in some blockchain companies, you're not just going to get your base salary, you're also going to get some company also promise equity in shares, and token, which is the most interesting part. Because if you have like everything in token, you have the token. Once you have the token, you can sell it anytime, and it's very easy. It's not like shares where there's some plenty legal consigns or stuff that you have to think through when it comes to shares. But with tokens, right? If your token is in your wallet, anytime the price goes up, you can sell it. Once it's finished vesting, you can sell it anytime. And then that's like a huge amount of money. Like in Binance, at some point, a lot of the top employees that started the company, right, with TZ at the early days, they all cashed out big. And some of them left from their own companies, or somebody just retire. Like, Nigeria, like, guy, I'm not come this life, can't kill myself, that kind of thing, like, make I rest, right? So they made a lot of money just by having initial token equity with the company, and the value of the token growing over time. And so imagine having BNB when it was like, I remember when BNB was like $40, $20. When it was like $1, imagine how $0, having like, say, 100,000 of that, or maybe, I don't know, whatever number it is. Guys, just do the calculation, just do the maths. Imagine having it like to this time. Do you get? So a lot of people, so this is like one way, right, for financial freedom, right? And so this is beyond just being in the space, using products, buying crypto, investing. This is your own, right? This is your own skill. This is you coming into the space, not just as a consumer, not just as a customer, but also as a producer, also impacting, because when you're doing, you're impacting, you're also gaining, right? So there are a lot of stuff a lot of reasons why you should want to consider a career in blockchain. And some people say, oh, you know, maybe it's not yet time, you know, there's still a lot I have to learn, you know. I have a long road ahead of me. Yes, do you get? Yes, the technology is new, right? So, just start. And we're going to see like some best practices in getting started. So over to the next slide. We're going to see some best practices of getting started later on the slide. And we're going to talk about just, you know, some other opportunities or careers that exist in the blockchain that are in high demand. But like I said, every Web2, can we get to the next slide? Like I said, every Web2 skills that you have are mostly transferable. You're a cloud engineer. We need nodes. We need infrastructure. I mean, blockchain is heavy on that. Imagine building a system where the ledger is decentralized, is distributed, is transparent, and is immutable, and is distributed across different nodes. And of course, there's a mechanism where these nodes all agree on data, which is what we know as consensus, right? Which is what we know as consensus mechanism. So there's a way they agree on data. There's a software each node needs to run. Right, so this node, they don't just fall from heaven or just exist on their own. So they're running a node, they're running a software, they're running a blockchain node, a blockchain software, sorry, that allows for those communications. And then this is like networking. This is some networking, cloud engineering, software engineering, a lot of things that comes into play in blockchain. Just in summary, right, there's high demand for skills, which leads to like greater higher rates. Right, so nobody can do Yanga for you. I mean, in tech, nobody can really do Yanga for you. It's like the best place to stay. I used to tell people that one of the reasons why I started coming to tech because I just feel that you can even never go wrong like that because there's always opportunity. So it's just about your own test. Okay, well, I'm going to work for small companies. I want to deal with the big place. Do you get? But there's always opportunities in this space. So in tech, and then even bigger in blockchain, because it's sort of like a new scarcity of talent, less competition, better pay and financial freedom, which is what like tokens and equity brings as well. So it's just unhealthy to just be a consumer. That's my own belief, right? It's a bit unhealthy to just, you know, be in the space and be a consumer when there's a lot of opportunity. There's money in front of you. There's opportunities that you should seize, and you're just like, okay, I'm okay just, you know, consuming. And of course, you'll be a part of a revolution that is future-proof because blockchain is not going anywhere. There's been tons of investment in the space, so it's not going anywhere, right? So top careers in blockchain, like I said, there are a lot, right? So there are a lot. So whatever you are, lawyers, blockchain engineers, community managers, product designers, UX researchers, product managers, growth marketers, content creators, there are a lot. Even technical recruiters. Because we've already established that there is high demand and there is low supply. So people are looking for, hey, do you know any good blockchain engineer? Oh, I'm a technical recruiter. And you're like, oh, and they're paying so much to say, okay, give me a very qualified person to come into this position. So companies are looking for people that would make the work easy for them. Do you get? Because they're recruiting. And trust me, I'm currently on the recruiting board. It's stressful. Like, it's so stressful to do that, and you're a company trying to build a product, you're trying to do a lot of stuff, and then you are not still sourcing for skills yourself. It's very, very stressful. So most people just outsource to technical recruiters and recruitment companies and stuff like that. So if we go to the next slide, right, so I think we're just going to go very quickly through this slide. I'll just like, okay, going into each of the career and like, okay, what is this about, and you know, how to get started in it, right? So basically, blockchain engineering, you're an engineer, you're developing decentralized applications, or you're building product that utilizes the blockchain. So not all products you see out there are native blockchains, like exist throughout, like they're just on the blockchain infrastructure or network. Some products are like regular products that you see, and they're utilizing blockchain in terms of payment, or they're utilizing blockchain in terms of like immutability, the immutability part of it, right? So not all products you see that have like 100% back to front, like front end to back end blockchain. So still has centralized database, centralized system, right? So if you go, so this is for like blockchain engineering, and of course, if you have skills in Web 2, you can transfer them as a front-end engineer, as a blockchain engineer, as a software engineer, you can transfer these skills over to the blockchain. So if you go to the next slide, I think we're talking about community manager and how important it is, because blockchains are based off communities. Cryptocurrencies are based off community. You cannot, this is money. If I have one cryptocurrency, right, if I buy one, I put out one token called Oluchi token, for instance. If there is no body that can distribute my Oluchi token, that can utilize my Oluchi token, then there's no point, because it doesn't have any value, right? So there's community is very essential, it's very important, it's very necessary for blockchain company. And then you're a community manager, you know how to ginger community, you know how to like, just organize a community around a certain goal or belief. Then, I mean, you're a high in demand. A lot of companies need community managers. If we go to the next slide, I think we're talking about product managers. Product managers are very essential. In the initial days, right, you won't see a lot of product managers in the space because it was highly technology driven. But you would agree with me that, like I said, this technology is to solve a problem. And who are we solving this problem for? We're solving it for users, right? So if there is no consideration for users in the space, users is the only way, like making something very accessible is the only way to get mass adoption. And a lot of blockchain fanatics, a lot of blockchain companies, products are beginning to like understand this, and then there's high demand for product manager because they're the ones that put all of this into perspective. So if we go to the next slide, so if you're a product manager in like Web 2, this is a transferable skill because it's still product. I mean, you can be a product manager in healthcare, in an healthcare ecosystem or space, right? For you to be an effective product manager, you need to understand the space. How does healthcare work? What are these? What are that? What are these? Right? It's the same thing coming to blockchain. You need to understand the blockchain ecosystem and how it works. Product designers are very important for accessibility, like I said, right? So one of the issues that we've had with that space is user experience in the blockchain when it comes to adoption, because especially DeFi. You are going on one DeFi platform, trying to do a very simple swap, or you just simply have like small money in your account. You just want to like make more money from it. You went to one DeFi platform and they are seeing stuff that you don't understand. Most times you have to take like more time trying to research stuff before you even invest, right? In fact, something has already come up from the house. Village people, money has finished already, even before you can even invest. Do you get? So product designers are very essential in this space because they're able to communicate these values in design in such a way that it's very, very accessible and understandable by the regular user, which is very important. So if we go to the next slide, and then of course, these skills are transferable. So if you're a product designer, you understand all design principles and all of those stuff. Like I said, although building for Web 3, designing for Web 3 is quite different from designing for Web 2. So definitely you need to understand the space. How does blockchain work? How does blockchain products, what's the interaction like? How do you interact with the chain? And all of those stuff. Good marketers, very essential because of course you have to sell your product. Whether it's blockchain, it will not sell itself. So whether you slash blockchain on it, because yeah, I mean a lot of products, right, that don't even need blockchain and not even using blockchain. Because of the hype of blockchain, they will just put blockchain there, right? But it will not still sell itself, right? You still need a marketer to do it in such a way that, they'll package it well for you. So if we go to the next slide, I think we're just going to rush to the side. Content creators are very important in this space because, I mean, it's a new technology. People need to understand a lot of stuff. Content is king, right? And it's also king in blockchain. So going to the next one, legal consultant, lawyers, very important. This is a new space. There's a lot of legal battles back and forth. You don't want to get burnt, right? So very important to like have a lawyer in your company, so there's demand for them as well. And if we go to the next slide, smart contract auditors. I mean, this is where if you have like cybersecurity skills before, you're big on hacking and all of those stuff, it's very essential as well because auditors, smart contracts are, I mean, there's a lot of things that you need to think about when you're trying to build a smart contract, right? You need to be security conscious because, I mean, It's not news how a lot of smart contracts has gotten hacked over time, right? The blockchain itself is not getting hacked, but the product, the program we're deploying onto the blockchain can be hacked because it's normal developer that wrote the program and then they place the blockchain. So if you don't write it well, if there are some loopholes, definitely it can be hacked. So most in a very established or standard company, blockchain company, right? There is no smart contract I don't know. Probably be Vitalik or something, I don't know. Be a genius, right? We will still audit the smart contract. That contract cannot go to production without being audited, right? That's in a standard company, that's how it's done. So smart contract auditors, auditing firms are very, very important. And to audit one smart contract, you can pay like something above like $30,000 to like, I mean, in thousands of dollars just to audit, smart contracts. So it's a very lucrative field. Is that all on my slide? Okay, so I think that majorly like capped it all. I think we've established that this is a very, very interesting space. There's high demand for skill. There's low skills available in the market, and then there's high valuation for those skills. So this is just like my own thoughts, and it's not the best approach, right? There are other ways to go about it. There's not just one way to kill a rat or whatever. So you can be involved. So be involved, right? It's not just about, oh, I want to be involved. Actually be involved. Attend events like this because you get to get inspirations, motivation. You get to learn, people like me speak. And, you attend, participate in conversations, you ask questions, and take short blockchain courses, right? If you're like, okay, I just want to test the waters, right? You can take short blockchain courses. There are a lot, free, paid, everything is online. You should understand how it works, how the blockchain works, what it is based on, how to interact with it, what is needed to interact with the blockchain. What do I need? Is it like normal Web 2, Is it normal email address or password I need? How do you interact? How are transactions handled? What is blockchain and what is not a blockchain? Use blockchain products. So you have to use, and I tell designers this a lot, you cannot design something you don't understand. If you want to come into the space as a designer, understand the space, use products, feel the pain. What are the issues existing blockchain solutions that are not there yet? So when you use products, you get to understand the space even better. Set up a crypto wallet, you can buy some crypto, sell some crypto, just get involved. Join crypto learning communities. I'm a founder of Web3 Ladies, and so far we've trained, I think we're going into our core 3, and we're very, very big on just diversifying the space because we can't be burnt twice, right? Just in tech in general, right? Ladies like where we slowly got into the space until now, we're still fighting for equality or diversification, 50% diversification in the space, and we've not gotten there. Blockchain is quite new. The earlier we get started as ladies, the better, right? So that means in 10 years down the line, we'll have like a very high number, of diversity ratio in the space, and that's what Web3 Ladies, that's what we're after, and that's what we're about. So we have mentorship programs that we run. We have just community programs around crypto and DeFi. And recently we had, we're doing a partnership with FTX, with the Women Who Crypto campaign, just to drive more awareness and education among ladies, right, in the Web3 space. Identify where you fit in, and get started. So once you're good in the space, you have some idea of the space, right? You have to identify, where do I fit in? How can I come in? What do I do? How can I impact? And the most important thing is getting started. And yes, I think this is about it. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening to me blab. I hope there's something.
Welcome to this panel session. So, okay, to get started, I know people might already know a little bit about all of us, well, all of the panelists seated here, but I want to understand, how did you get into the blockchain space? Let's start with Ayodeji.
Right, thank you very much. My name is Awosika Ayodeji, founder of Web3 Bridge. Okay, so I got into the space 2017. Prior to 2017, October, when I got into the space, I've been hearing about Bitcoin. I think it was a multi-level marketing platform that was in Bitcoin in 2016, 2017. Then I have friends that they'll come to my house to trade, I think they used to come and trade Sia coin. Then I think Polyonex was like the first exchange there. So they come and trade Sia coin. I remember they traded Ethereum at some point, but then nobody actually knows what they were doing. So it's like everybody should buying something. So at night, we watch, this thing is going down. We'll buy. In the morning, yeah, it's going up again. We'll quickly sell. So we're like, I think I still have my Polynex account like that. Then I was like, oh, this thing. Then multi-level marketing came. I don't like multi-marketing at all. So when they were using Bitcoin, I was like, this thing, wanting to do it, I started again. I'm not going in. Then 2017, around October 15, my friend was like, guys, I've seen something new. We have to like get into it. Okay, let's talk about it. So he started teaching us about blockchain. So we have a session every Wednesdays and Fridays on WhatsApp. The WhatsApp group is still active till today, since then. So talk about blockchain. Then they now start teaching about airdrop. Like, so it was the airdrop that caught my attention. Almost, so I could make free money. Yeah, like actually, so almost everybody on the group actually has like a full-time job. I was working freelance at the time. So, and I'm a family man, so like, free money. Yeah, so it's like, okay, what do we need? Open Twitter account. I had a Twitter account since 2013. I have a Telegram account. I have one. Fill a form. I have a laptop. So we're doing that, like, so at the point I became like the deputy person in the community, so like helping onboarding. So I like customer support. So community management is like my natural thing. So like, okay. So one day, I remember what actually like grew the interest was that one day my phone was getting bad. When Bible say money answered all things, including the bad phone, just forget it. So my phone was getting very, very crazy. And my friend just called and like, guy, how far? Shabi, you have this token? I said, yes, I do. The token is now $100. So, okay, wait. So prior to that time, I've actually had about 35,000 naira before. But like, see, $100 is like big. So the first thing I noticed was that my phone stopped messing up. I was like, correct. I'm like, okay, send me the token. I sent the token to him. He sold the token and sent me back the money. I was like, I'm taking this thing serious. Yeah, we die. So went in big on airdrop, like, almost all the airdrop of 2017, 2018, I was like big on all of them, Then January 2018, I took a very decision that changed my life forever. All of the guys had time. They made money working in the bank. So I didn't like, we bought this token, he's making this. I cannot afford to buy that token. Honestly, I can't afford to buy. So I was like, okay, what do I have? I have time that you don't have. So I now started staying on Twitter. I told myself, I make it here or we die here. So for every tweet I see, I start like jumping in all of the tweets. So I was like, who are the industry experts? I told myself I was going to meet Vitalik. I listed everybody in the I wanted to meet. Like, I set a target of 2022. That is that I meet these people or I shall meet them. So like that. So I started doing community Elo. So from Twitter, I now got recommended for Elo and Welcome. Community management is Elo and Welcome now. It's now that community management is becoming, like, then they call it Elo and Welcome. Now, it's now bad for you. Yeah, it's actually what they call it then. It's not bad for you as a Nigerian. Because now, the founder is anonymous. You are the Nigerian face. So when the Nigerian now comes, it's like, auntie daily by you, now start convincing them that we are buying now. Like, and then you cannot speak Yoruba. You have to now speak English. Yeah. So you are trying to like shade the guys. So like that. So fast forward 2018, I came in then, and I'm like, okay, I did home economics and hotel management education. So I saw that the problem in the blockchain space is not just the tech. People will not take the tech if they don't know what they are taking. Then, in the community, there is a problem. When community users ask questions, the developers cannot even really explain it. Because they themselves, they are getting used to the technology. So I'm like, okay, let's do education. So I started doing education, like, go out, do this then. I think then I now heard that Waves was doing their blockchain thing. So I applied, I became the first Wave ambassador to Africa. Then I was like, a big boost. Then they were not paying. So you have to like plan events to get paid. Okay, let's do event. Now should be this event. Let's do it. Then thank God I have a community already. So even if you do not come for my event, my community will come. So that's where you cannot take the community away from the blockchain. It's very essential. So like that. Then there was a product called Hydro. Yeah, thank God. So I think I was the only Nigerian on Hydro team since 2018 to 2020. So I mean, so then they were doing. There was a bounty they did after their airdrop. Before their airdrop, they did a bounty. Like, so everybody was trying to contribute. I was like, how will I contribute? February that year, I learned how to use Twitter more professionally. So I was like, okay, so they had this event. I was like, okay, the only thing I was going to do, I'll tweet about the event. So the event was around 3 a.m. Nigerian time. So I was awake. I was tweeting about the event. So when they said everybody should submit their bounty, I just copied all my tweets. Bam! Submitted. And when they now checked, so I was the first person they paid. I think I earned about $1,000 for doing that. I was like, Ibilo Makusi. Just that year. So now, when I did that, they now said they wanted to do this decentralized ambassador thing. Everybody applied. When I saw the form after I got into the team, I think about 5,000 Nigeria applied. Yes, they wanted more developers actually, but not when developers applied at the time. So I was like, okay, let's apply now. Okay, I have done Twitter for you people before. Yeah, take o. If I've done this, I can still also do this one. So when they came around, like, okay, you already got the job now. So then like that. So that was like my entry and seeing the growth. So I now said that, okay, so the technology is on one side, developers are on one side, the users are on the other side. So we need to merge them together. And how to do this is education. So I like, let me go stay since I cannot code. Let me stay on the education.
Don't worry, we'll come back to the non-technical aspect of skills. Over to you, Njoku Emmanuel.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, so Njoku Emmanuel, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Lazerpay. So Lazerpay is basically a crypto payments gateway. I like to call it the Stripe for crypto. Right. So yeah, about how I got into blockchain. I knew about cryptocurrencies and blockchain since 2015. Well, I mean, I didn't have money to participate in it at that time, right? So I ignored it, right? And yeah, so fast forward like 2018, I started reading passively about the blockchain, and the first book I read by Andre was Mastering Bitcoin, right? So the book taught me about the fundamentals of the blockchain and how the blockchain works, right? So in 2019, I and some of my school friends in Enugu State then we're mobile developers, web developers and all of that, right? But we're finding it very difficult to get jobs and get gigs, right? So we're like the web industry or the mobile development industry, Web2 industry is like overly saturated, right? So we're like, okay, what is that thing that we can do that's actually not common, right? And one of my friends was like, oh, he's going to go into cybersecurity, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this blockchain thing more seriously, right? So that was in 2019, and I actually finished after reading Mastering Bitcoin. I then read Mastering Ethereum, right? So that was actually where I learned about smart contracts, right? And you can actually remove the intermediary in any given system and replace it with your codes, right? So it was very fascinating, and I wrote my first smart contract in 2019. I think September. That was when I wrote my first smart contract, and it was there was this competition they were doing in Lagos then in 2019. So it was called Ninja Hacks, right? And I and my teammates were supposed to build something on security. And they were like, oh, they're going to build something on the web and all of that. They were just bringing up ideas, and I was like, look, let's use blockchain and build out something on security. And then they suggested a voting system, right? And at that time, I've not written I had not written Solidity before, right? But then I told them I could do it, right? Because when they were like, but we don't have any blockchain developer in our team. I was like, oh, I can write Solidity, but I've not written it before. You guys, I mean, I never say no to anything, right? So then I went on. Eat the Blocks, that's like the name of the platform, right? And I was like, oh, how to write a smart contract in Solidity, right? And I saw lots of information. And coming from like the Web2 background, I already knew how to like write C++ and JavaScript, right? Because that's actually where Solidity is built from, right? So it was not really difficult for me to like grasp the basics of Solidity and actually build something. So we actually put something together, and we got invited like for the finals here in Lagos. I mean, that was like my first time in Lagos, right? I remember begging my dad to like give me transport. yeah. So yeah, I mean, but we didn't win the competition. But we got incubated into like their startup accelerator, right? And yeah, the company was called Ace Vote. What the idea around it was like build a decentralized, decentralized governance application, right? More like, this application where, as a DAO or as a protocol, you don't need to like build your governance system, right? You can just, basically plug in your smart contracts, and yeah, so that was like, my first shot at, writing Solidity and blockchain, and since then, right, after like 2019, 2020, I think that was when COVID happened, right? And we actually had strike in school, and I was very happy. I was going to like leave school and attend classes again. Yeah, so I went back home, and then from March till I think March till September, I was coding every single day. I never missed one day, right? And me coding was actually building projects. I was not just, watching tutorials. And then I was, working. I got a job, as a mobile developer in a company in Port Harcourt, right? That was my first job. I mean, like my, first, paid job, right? That was like pay me 70K every month. I mean, I was a big boy then. Yeah. So I then, took a course on blockchain engineering, right? So, I mean, I knew how to like write Solidity and all of that, right? But then I took a nano degree from Udacity. Yeah, so, I mean, it was actually expensive, so I couldn't afford it. So, I mean, now, there's always some way to like, get these courses online without paying, yes. So yeah. Off your mic. I mean, yeah, so I actually took the course, right, and it was very interactive, but since I didn't have access to like the community, but that was, one of the projects I worked on was, building your private blockchain, right, and I mean, you don't really need to, like, so that course, they weren't like, heavy on Solidity, but they were heavy on, blockchain engineering at the core, right, and, down the line, right, someone from Hydro Blockchain reached out to me. He was like, oh, I saw like this stuff you actually built, Ace Vote. Are you interested in a role at Hydro, right? And I was like, I mean, why not? So they interviewed me. I got into like Hydro. That was like the first time I was, working, on an enterprise smart contract. And there again, like, I think my first task was to like deploy this identity contract like Ring B. And I mean, I would never say no. I was like, I mean, I've not done this before, but I can do it, right? And I actually, deployed. And yeah, so my time at, Hydro was, really good. And I think at that point, I think that was after you left, right, in 2020. And then I joined, and another Nigerian, joined me, right? So yeah, so sometime, in September, right, still keeping my, coding streak, and also building projects. I, randomly reached out to like Ugo on Instagram. I was like, hey, Alpha, what's happening at Zen? And then he told me that, there's this blockchain project that are currently building, Zen Finance, right? And I was like, oh, that's, I would love to like be part of it. And he was like, sure, come to Enugu, let's talk, right? And I think that was in that was in October. Right, and so I told my dad I was going back to school, but I mean I was going back, to meet Ugo, to talk about, this project, right? So I mean I went to like, Enugu, and I had the conversation with Ugo. Ugo like looked at, what I built at Ace Vote, and yeah, I was working at Hydro then, and yeah, I mean Ugo offered me a job, right, at Zen Finance, and yeah, so this was, the first time building out actual decentralized finance protocols, right? And again, like this, being the first, I mean, it was like the first time, but then I didn't. I mean, you can learn anything online, right? There are lots of resources, right? If you've not written tests for a smart contract before, like you can learn how to do that, right? If you've not interacted with any protocol before, you can learn how to do that. So I was not familiar with the protocol they were integrating, Venus protocol and DeFi dollars. I mean, I didn't know what that was, right? But I mean, there again, I never said no, right? I worked on it, right? And yeah, we actually so sometime in November, so sometime in December, our lead blockchain engineer fell sick. So I was more like the only blockchain engineer apart from Ugo on the team. And Ugo looked at me and he was like, I mean, I could not say, oh, I'm not doing this, or he could not go to the hospital and ask the guy a question. So Ugo was like, that he would assist me wherever wherever I needed help. Right, so I deployed the contract, to the Binance Smart Chain in December. It launched. I deployed. Then we now, launched on the Ethereum blockchain, and then I actually became, the lead blockchain engineer for the entire Zen Finance team, right? And also, I mean, because I had, experience in Web2, building out web applications, right? So I was also at the forefront of, the front end application of Zen Finance, because the engineers working on the front end, this was their first time, contributing to a Web3 project and interacting with smart contracts. So I was, helping them, right? I was more guiding them, through the process. Yeah. So and then the last project I actually built at Zen Finance was the Zen Finance SDK. More what we did was we abstracted the smart contract. So you don't need to interact with the smart contract directly. Even if you're a Web2 developer, you just interact with the Node SDK. And then I joined MakerDAO in 2021. I was actually the first African, and I think black in the engineering team, right? Yeah, so I applied as a smart contract engineer, but they were like, oh, the role available was a blockchain integrations engineer, right? And when I then, looked at, the job description, right? And then I saw an MSc degree as a requirement, and I was like, what? But I mean, there again, I was like, it's either you get the job or you don't get the job, right? So I actually applied and went through 4 or 5 interview process, and I got the job, right? And I remember in December 2020 I went on DeFi Pulse and applied to all the blockchain companies I saw there, right? Every single one of them, and so lots. I mean, some of them got back. I interviewed with some. I didn't get the job, but I got Maker. And immediately I changed my LinkedIn to I was working at Maker. And then that was when Compound reached out, also Binance as well, right? So since then, right, my career in blockchain was just skyrocketed, right? I then worked at Avatar as well while still working at Maker. Avatar is a security company in Singapore, right? And I was their lead blockchain engineer. So, and I was also very active in the community, right? Also very active in, contributing the blockchain community, right? So I contributed, to Radical. I also contributed to Instadap, lots of, blockchain projects out there, right? And when we talk about open source, right, I think blockchain technology is one thing that is really open source, right? Anybody can contribute the Ethereum blockchain, right? And you can be part of the people that are building Ethereum. You can be part of people that are building the Solidity programming language. So yeah, I leveraged that, and I was really active in the ecosystem. And yeah, that's actually it for me, and how I got into this space.
And all of that took the space of how long?
Yeah. So from 2019 to 2021.
2019 to 2021.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 years.
Yeah.
And you were coding every day for 7 months.
Yeah. So yeah, that was in 2020.
Awesome. Yeah. You're scaring me right now. Okay, Hilary, over to you.
The question is how did you get into tech? Okay. So in terms of how I got into tech, I think for me it was I worked in 2018. I moved back to Nigeria, and I remember looking for opportunities and trying to figure out what I wanted to do because I still wasn't sure. And then I found this online job for a US company as a market researcher. So it was sort of a contract job where they had a platform and they had different clients that would kind of VC companies and also a lot of consulting companies like Deloitte as well. I think so I got that job, and it required a lot of hours. So it was you get paid as you work, and also how it worked was that you have to be on the platform for several hours, and there were several people waiting for jobs as well, because we're about 50 to 100 on the platform. So you have to be online, and if you're not online, someone else will take your job. So I remember like spending 15 hours a day just being online and trying to get jobs and trying to just do research. So I did that for about 3 years, and I remember in 2018, we started getting a lot of questions and projects from clients about blockchain, about Bitcoin specifically, and I would get some of those projects, and it would just intrigue me. I was intrigued by it, and I understood it, but I just didn't know how to get into it. Like, I just knew it intrigued me, and I did nothing about it. I would just do research for clients, and that was it for me. And then fast forward to 2020, during the pandemic, I knew I wanted to take my investing serious. I wanted to invest in stocks, and I also wanted to explore other forms of investment as well. And during that time, I think there was a lot of hype on Twitter around crypto, and so I just started reaching out to people I was interested in learning from, and also doing my own personal research as well, reading different articles. And from there, I started buying crypto, but that wasn't enough for me. It wasn't just about, I mean, sure, I made some profits, but it wasn't just about that for me. I wanted to know how crypto worked, like the blockchain technology as well, how that worked. And I just knew I just wanted to know more about the industry rather than just investing in or buying crypto. And so afterwards, I just started my research on just blockchain technology in general, and I remember learning about different concepts, and because I learned best by writing, I would just write about what I learned, and some of the articles I wrote about kind of gained traction on Twitter, and so different people would reach out to me to write more articles for them about crypto. And for me, I mean, I would do that for free, but they paid me to do that. And so I did that. I would write articles for them about a crypto concept, and that was me learning about that crypto concept myself. And so from there, it was just a lot of learning for me. And during that time, I was also interested in UX research. So as a market researcher, I knew that I liked what I did, but I wanted something more challenging, and I also wanted something that would be in the tech industry, and that led me to UX research. And so from all the research I was doing from different people that reached out to me on Twitter, I realized that one issue that the Web3 or crypto space has is that the UX is just bad. And I was trying out a lot of crypto products at the time as well, so I knew that was a huge issue, and I knew I wanted to do something about it. So as I was learning about UX research, I mean, the courses I found, the solutions, and just everything was just UX research in the Web2 space. Even right now, there aren't a lot of resources that exist about UX research in the Web3 space. And I think that most people don't even know what UX research is in the first place. That's the first question I get is, what is UX research? So I started that, and then it wasn't easy because a lot of people don't know what UX research is in the first place. Well, particularly in West Africa, it's not a field that it's even, I mean, in the Web2 space in West Africa, it's not a field that's as common. So for me, it was a lot of pitching to companies why they needed a UX researcher. I remember during that period, I even reached out to Njoku. I reached out to him because it was on Twitter. I saw that he was the founder of Lazerpay. I just wanted to meet him and just have a conversation with him. And we had a conversation, and he invited me to several tech events. And in those tech events, he would always just connect me with people and talk about, oh, she's the best researcher I know. And I would tell them about what I do. And yeah, from those conversations and the tech events I went to, I finally started getting opportunities in the crypto space, UX research opportunities. And most of them didn't know what UX research was, but they saw the passion in how I talked about UX research and how I mentioned the benefits of UX research for crypto companies in specific. And yeah, that's basically been my pathway to crypto.
Oluchi, over to you, even though we have a little bit of an idea of how you got into it, but over to you.
Hello. Okay. Okay. How I got started. Yeah, really cool story so far. Okay, yeah, so I got started in crypto Okay, so I got started in tech, right? I think that was sometime 2017. As at September, I think 2017, I got into like a tech firm, Cranet, and I was interning in web development because it's a startup where you get to learn a couple of things. You're not just in web development, you're doing design, everything. And then the following year, which was 2018, yeah. So 2017, right, somewhere around the mid of 2017, I was done with my internship and I was like, okay, tech, this is it. I want to go all in. And so towards the end of 2017, I think there was an hackathon. I knew you said hackathon, but hackathons are really actually interesting, and you get to meet a lot of opportunities and grab a lot of opportunities in the hackathon. So I did a lot of hackathons in 2017, and then I went for one. It was a blockchain hackathon, and I knew, because once I just hear hackathon like this, it's like, oh yeah, I'll pack your bag, let's go. So as I heard the hackathon, it was a blockchain hackathon. I didn't even know what blockchain was. I didn't know what crypto was at that point. So I went for the hackathon, and they put me into a group, and my group then was working on transparency when it comes to donation, right? So we have like the northern areas are like prone to disaster, and so they were like, okay, let's build a system on the blockchain where we are able to register users or register members from these areas that are prone to disaster, put them on the blockchain, and when a disaster happens, we know people that were there before the disaster happened, because it's on the blockchain and nobody can like really alter the data, right? So we know who should get these donations and these funds, because what used to happen then is that something happened, a disaster happened, people just donate, and people that are not even there at all, that are probably in Lagos and chilling and enjoying their life, would get some funds from it. So that was what they were building, and it was very interesting. I was like, okay, how do you do this with the blockchain? And I had a lot of questions in mind because it didn't make sense to me, right? I'm like, it's on the blockchain, okay, you change the data now. You put some of this information there. Why can't I go and put my information there? Or why can't I tell the moderator to whoever is organizing it to put my information? So I had a lot of questions on the hackathon, but it was very interesting. I was mostly a software engineer there, so I knew nothing about blockchain. So I contributed in terms of like the software engineering, building the stuff. I did backend because I was mostly into backend. I do front end as well, but it's mostly backend for me. So I had a lot of questions, and I couldn't get all the answers in that hackathon or on my team, right? So I decided to say, okay, you know what? I want to know more about this technology, and it seems very new, right? It seems very new at that point in time. So I was very excited about the hackathon. I went back to my company and I was like, hey, blockchain. Guys, have you heard of blockchain? So I was in some reading and I was like, we need to add, because it was a service company, right? It was what do they call this kind of companies that do jobs for people, right? So they don't like have a product agency, yeah. So it was a tech agency, so we like do stuff for people, and I was like, let's start doing blockchain related project. I want to go and learn the blockchain, and I would learn it, and let's take projects in. So, but at that time, my bosses were not really into blockchain, because how the ICO around that time, the MMM, like you mentioned, right? So a lot of people were very skeptical about blockchain. So when people heard blockchain, it was like, MMM, fake, it's fake, and all of this stuff. So they didn't think that it was a useful use of our time or our effort for us to like go into that business. And something kept telling me that no, like I need to go into this blockchain. Like I need to understand how this works, because because when I hear something new at first, I try to challenge myself, like, okay, try. Can you make sense of it? Like, so before even reading or doing any research, I try to see if I can make sense of it based on like the previous information I have or previous knowledge I have in software engineering. So I tried to make sense of it, right? It wasn't making so much sense. How everything worked. I'm like, okay, so how do they agree, right? And all of those stuff. So I started doing the research, and then I was doing it like together with my job, because my job was like a full-time job, and mostly around that time, because I was a bit still. I was like 1 year or so into like tech. I was like a year, going to 2 years, right? Around that time in tech. So I was like, there was like a lot of ginger, right? So I was like, I work morning to 9. Sometimes I would leave office like 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. just doing work, building stuff, because we're building for like different companies. So what I did was, like, okay, I want to learn this thing, but my company doesn't really think that's necessary for us to learn. So what I did was, like, okay, I tried to, like, so I planned my time. So after, because I met some friends in the hackathon, and from there I went for, like, other blockchain-related hackathon, and I met more people, I went for events, I met more friends. So what I did was, so there was one lab, it was a friend of mine, I think Cyber it had, like, one lab like that, where people just come and do brainstorm, tech stuff. So they were supposed to go in for hackathon, right? So his hackathon team would just come together and like, okay, what next project, what next hackathon are we going for? So it was very interesting. What next hackathon are we going for? There's the whiteboard and they're like strategizing and, you know, and they were like going into like blockchain, mostly like blockchain kind of hackathon. I was like, okay, this is a good place. So what I do was that after work, I would then like leave work and then go to try to like understand this technology and learn it. So I go to the lab and work. Sometimes I leave there like 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Sometimes I lose track of time because I was like, this thing's actually very interesting. And at that early stage, right, like I think you said, Ayo, right, most people in space were like engineers, right, and it's not like resources out there were not very, very, I mean, like now when you say a lot of resources, right, now that it's very simplified, yeah, there were not a lot of documentation. In fact, when I started using Solidity, right, Solidity the version was changing like mad. You're in version 6, you're in version like 4 point something. Before you know what's happening, you have just deployed one smart contract, version have changed to like 4.8.1, right, so they were just like releasing a lot of things. Truffle then was like, they were still like developing. Web3, JS had like a lot of issues. At that point in time, like, you are having issues, you're trying to, like, debug. There were not a lot of error messages that were clear and made sense for you to know, okay, well, this is where the problem is coming from. So I was, like, using Web3.js at some point, using EtherJS, because EtherJS was more clean at that point in time. So things were, like, picking pace, like, a lot of things, a lot of development was going on, a lot of stuff. There were not a lot, people were not really major on documentations or articles or resources out there that were very, very easy to sort of like pull up and understand, right? So it was a bit of challenge, and then CryptoZombie was like it for me because CryptoZombie did like some, I like the way they made it very interactive, right? And CryptoZombie was one of the first interactive blockchain education platform that, you know, existed before, you know, every other one started coming out. So you were going like a game, right? So that was like most of what I was using there. And they were doing like a competition. Me and my friends was like, okay, I'm in lesson 1 of CryptoZombie. Who is the first to get to lesson 10? Who is the first to like finish his stuff? Who is the first to build stuff and everything? So it was quite interesting, right? So I could like give all, right, to it. So I didn't even care how much time I was spending. And at some point I was like a tomboy because I wasn't caring about anything, nothing. I was like, this thing, I am going to like follow through with it because, and to me, when I came into tech, I was like, I came into tech late. My God. I was like, this place is overpopulated. Like people, there are a lot of devs here, front end. How do you even like, how do you rise to the top in like a space where like there's there's everyone. I was like, you know, so those things were like just going on in my mind. And I said blockchain, I was like, this is now like, this is an opportunity. Do you get, it was new, right? There are not a lot of persons into it worldwide, not just even in Nigeria or Africa, right? They know like a lot of persons were still like, you know, they were still being very skeptical about the technology, right? So there are not a lot of people into like blockchain engineering and all of those stuff, right? So I was like, okay, this is a very good opportunity for me, and I need to know this thing. I want to work with like the top blockchain companies, right? You know, I want to build my portfolio using. And someone was asking me one day, how did you build your portfolio with, you know, some of these companies? I was like, that was like my goal at that point in time, and I was like, see, this thing is, at some point it doesn't make sense. And at some point there was a time when I cried because I was learning with some of my friends, and the way they were learning this thing, it was as if they had another kind of brain I didn't have. So they were just like, they're just talking and everything. I was like, I went home and I cried. I was like, what is happening? Like, I need to be able to know this thing like these people. I need to be able to like talk about this stuff like these people and stuff like that. So I just kept on going in 2017, and then we're building like, because we're like in like an hackathon group, so we're building like different projects. So we had like, there was like a team, right? So we have like some people that we were building to just understand the space. We built like a private blockchain, and then we were interacting with it in that team. Like everybody had a node on that particular private blockchain, and they were interacting with it, building stuff on that blockchain in the small team. And then we also were building like, you know, wallet-based application, because then we now understood that, see, in the block you could be a smart contract engineer, and what you know is Solidity. You're good with Solidity, you understand EVM change, right? Or you could be a dev, right, that understand blockchain, like you said, the blockchain engineering, right? Interacting with blockchain, and you're building wallet system. So if you're building a crypto wallet, you don't really need to know smart contracts or Solidity to build a crypto wallet, but you need to understand how, these engineering principles, because you are building it with the language that exists, Golang, Node.js, all of these languages, you're building with us. So I was like, okay, let's test it, let's do stuff across this space. Let's try and build a crypto wallet, see how it is, what's the experience like. Let's try to build a smart contract so that anywhere Bele face, at least something, you get? Something will always be there, you shall get the job and all of this stuff. So that was how it was, 2018, and then, so based on my network and some of the connection I'd made, just trying to understand this stuff, someone referred me for, so Sterling Bank at the point, we're looking for a blockchain, engineer because they started doing some experimental stuff, and someone referred me there, and that was in 2019, I went to the interview, and did a lot of interview, so went through the interview process, and they were like, wow, we're happy to have you on our team, and I was the only blockchain engineer, and there was only one lady in the engineering team at that point in time. So I was the second lady, and I was the only blockchain engineer in the whole of Sterling Bank. All of the branches, I was the only blockchain engineer, and they were when I came into the bank, it was how all this stuff, this walkway, and they were like, hey, Oluchi. I'm like, guys, I beg. Please calm down, I beg. Look, maybe the Oluchi. I'm not the Oluchi, actually. But yeah, so it was a lot of pressure at that time, because it was a lot of pressure because I was the only blockchain engineer, and I needed to live up to it. And the second day that I came into the organization, I met with the CEO of the company. Most people that have been in that company, they've not even had the meeting. They're oh, you have to see Abu himself. He wants to see you. And I'm okay. This is a lot. But I was hey, I'm not going to give up. Do you get? I'm not going to give up now. What can they what possibly do we want to build? Do you understand? Njoku said, resources are everywhere. Resources were out there, even though they were not very explanatory, but you could make something of. And then I've been building with the team. I had those experiences. So I took the Sterling Bank job, and then I was in Sterling Bank for about a year, and we eventually had some blockchain engineer come join us, so I was the lead blockchain engineer at that time in Sterling Bank. So we're building a tokenized share platform where, you could, if you have, this thing, this whole concept, if you have a shares in a company, you have to go to a, what they call them? Yeah, broker, you get, for you to be able to sell your shares and everything. So this was an internal way where you could tokenize this share, and then you could just swap. It's a P2P kind of stuff, swap within employees. So it was a very interesting project. We're working on that. And because I was also a software engineer, even before coming to blockchain, so I was also building the one bank, because we are using one pay at the time. So we wanted to build, one bank is we wanted to introduce one bank into the ecosystem down, and then sort of prioritize one pay at a point. So I was part of a team that were building, that was trying to build a one bank system, one bank product. So I was doing that, and then also doing the blockchain stuff. So it was still sort of a mix, right? So while I was there, that was when I got introduced. So most of the jobs, right, that I do has been based on okay, I work with this colleague, and they saw how I worked, and they liked my energy, right, and then they referred me. I can not really take my CV or applied for a job, and there's been a lot of on my LinkedIn. Sometimes I fear to open my LinkedIn because I'm how will I be telling them no, I'm not available now, let's connect later, So it now happened like that, you get, and I was God, okay, this was what I said. Initially, when I wanted to come to I wanted to work with top companies, and then that was when, when I was in Sterling Bank, I got, an offer to come for Bundle. That was when Yele reached out to me, and I was oh, this is Binance, and this. I was okay, interesting. Yeah, let's do this, you guys. So in Bundle, it was mostly, so Bundle was under Binance, and it was mostly building a crypto wallet application or solution for Africa, right? Something to simplify, make it very easy, because a lot of people had challenges using Binance. Even the Binance Lite, you don't get a lot of people using it. And so people just have this challenge using Binance, and we're okay, let's build something that can be very accessible, that can be usable, right, by the Nigerian or African ecosystem. And then that's when we built Bundle. And in Bundle, I was it was just me and a guy, Akin, I think somewhere around there. So we're like the blockchain engineers on the team. So we built the bundle infrastructure, the blockchain infrastructure. We came up with like how would this blockchain, how would these services interact? What services do we need, right, to build a crypto wallet, right? So you're thinking about key management, because definitely if you're building a custodial wallet and the users are not in charge of their keys, right? You're the one managing the private key. Because whether you are signing up to a crypto, as long as it's a crypto wallet you're signing up into, right? And you're putting in your username and password, there is a blockchain. Like I said earlier, some applications utilize the blockchain in different ways, right? Some are like purely blockchain solutions, right? So as long as it's a crypto wallet, there's crypto there, you're trading or you're buying crypto, you're selling crypto, you're transferring crypto out, then there is a crypto infrastructure behind the scenes. So even if you're using your username and password to sign in, they're called custodial wallets, right? They help you manage your private key. But there is a private key, there is an interaction with the blockchain. So that was like the infrastructure was what we built, and then we're managing. And at some point we had like one more person join the team, and there were 3, and then we became 2. Again, on the bundle team, right? So while I was there, while I was in bundle, I then said, okay, I wanted to explore. I wanted to see what it was like building a product, like building a blockchain solution for users, right? Users themselves, how do users interact with this product? Because, you can get carried away by the technology and forgetting, like Hilary mentioned, the user experience issues in the space and, all of that. And then that was when we went, I said, okay, I'm going to try a technical product rule. I'm going to try a product rule. And still, as an engineer, let me see what product looks like. All right, that's why I joined Nestcoin, still with ELA, and we're working on products or projects with the team, and then we launched Nubian Finance, which is a crypto application that allows you, it's a crypto investment application or crypto savings application that allows you, save your crypto and then earn high return, and it's currently in beta, so you can try it out. So it's been an interesting ride. While I was in Nestcoin, before I got into Nestcoin, Crypto.com reached out to me and like, okay, we need a DeFi engineer on our team. You were referred by a colleague, because like I said, most of my jobs is based on like how I work with people and how they refer me, and all of this stuff, right? So I joined Crypto.com as well as a DeFi engineer, and then I was also building, product managing a product, right? So it was, it's been an interesting ride. It's been an interesting ride since then. I was like, okay, now 2 to go. I've had Binance on my CV, I have Binance on my portfolio, I have Crypto.com on my portfolio, on to the next one, right? So which next am I going to have? And this was something that I said as at that time that, hey, there is an opportunity in the space, and there is still an opportunity in the space even till now, because yes, people are coming in. The space is getting open. We're seeing resources online that are very sort of like easy to relate to some point, but there is still massive opportunity, because the space, to be honest, it's not, if you check all statistics, right, it's not that saturated. There's still high demand for skill, and there's still opportunity to make a mark in the space.
Okay, so Ayodeji, I'm going to ask you a quick question. There's so much hype about around blockchain technology. Why is that? That's one. And then beneath the hype, how can people really get into blockchain technology? He mentioned hackathon. He got into it by reading and hackathon. You got into it because okay, let me not even go to your story. And she mentioned hackathon also. She got into it because she was interested in it and she was looking for the internet. And she also got into it because of the hype. She wanted to know what it was about. So why is there so much hype around blockchain technology? And beneath the hype, how do people get into it so they make sure, so that they ensure that, how do people get into it to ensure financial freedom without getting lost in the hype?
All right, thank you very much. So I think the reason why the hype is much is because, like, I think there's a trend for every season. And presently we are in the season of big words. Like blockchain, AI, 5G, blah, 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 blah. But honestly, like I was telling somebody yesterday, I said, personally, I don't believe in anything nonsense metaverse. Apologies. I don't believe in it. So if you are saying you want to sell me metaverse or Benny, you got the wrong crowd. The reason why is that, see, honestly, so many people would make money from all of these things. So many people will be in the future of it. But then there are a lot of stuffs that we have not actually conquered yet. Yes. So I run Web3 Bridge is a school. Let me use that word. A school where we train developers, and we're actually working to be like, I don't like using the word, but then we can like separate it. For now, Andela already like created a standard. We're working to be like the Andela of Web3. And so I see a lot of opportunities like every day. Like we train developers. I see the way this guy is coming. Like most people, the reason why Web3 Bridge is still like free, we do free to the point that we feed, provide internet providers. It's like entirely free. The reason why we go do that is because like I was telling somebody one day, okay, I was talking to my wife, I was like, okay, so we're going to charge these people this amount for feeding. And she was like, people that cannot even afford to transport themselves to Lagos. Now, but at the end of the day, you see that in a year after, you see the results these guys are bringing to the table. Like Oluchi brings statistics where about payment, about say 0 to 1 year. Like honestly, it's real. Like I've had guys look like, Mr. Israel, I don't understand though. Like a number of these guys cool. Okay, let me cite an example of one of the guys on my team. Sometimes like early 2021, it was earning 60,000 naira. Njoku was earning 70, right? It was earning 60K. But presently now, this guy has a car of his own, was able to establish business for his mom. So like I tell people, blockchain has like self-sufficiency. Now, a number of persons still like do it wrong. Like, just want to quickly cash out. But then if you like able to like understand your own area, I'm not a developer, I own a developer school.
So I'm sure we have questions. I'd like us to take some questions before we go right back into it. That's if we have time. Does anybody have a question?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Orus Michael. And my question is going to the engineers. I'm coming to you. So, I am a user of the blockchain. I understand the blockchain very well. And there is this move from proof of work to proof of stake. And it's a big work for the Ethereum network. So my question is this. I'm asking this question because of what happened to Luna. I was big on the Luna blockchain. Nobody talked about the Accord protocol. I was big on the Accord protocol, and a lot happened to the Accord protocol. So this is why I'm asking this question. If the proof of work to proof of stake fails, what do you think will happen to the entire ecosystem? Because as we speak, they are going to move that in while the Ethereum network is running. So they are moving it live. They are not going to stop anything. If it fails, what happens?
All right, thank you. Let me start this. So, Ethereum, I think I can speak as an authority to a point. So they are not just moving mainnet first. They are moving the Robstin network first. I think they are starting the Robstin move by next week. Now, I was telling somebody something this morning. One of the reasons why personally I'm more interested in Ethereum is that, like, there are paid protocol developers in Ethereum, right? There are more unpaid protocol developers in Ethereum. More okay. If you notice that a number of these layer 2s, even till Binance, there are days you know that even their main nets do not work. You know why? Because they are paying their protocol developers. But in Ethereum, there are guys that are now becoming like maxis. Like they are all in Ethereum that even when Vitalik is not coding, they are coding. Now, and it's also easy for them to like continue to do this. Like Vitalik is not a social person like that. So I'm not saying that there will not be glitch. What I'm sure of is that no matter what glitch happens on Ethereum, it will never last. I'm not sure it will last 1 hour. I will use no, Solana, okay, Solana plug and play. Sorry. let me sorry. I didn't say that. So I'm actually not against any chain. Ethereum only cannot scale. Like for blockchain to actually scale, only Ethereum cannot do it. That's the truth. But then I'm saying that on the tech side, Ethereum has become like it's not like a family where everyone just wants to like do. Okay, I was speaking to somebody from Ethereum.org, and they mentioned that everybody that is on Ethereum.org presently now are people that are contributing on their own. Before, like they were just committing stuff. Then when they wanted to set up the team, they're like, okay, who has contributed the more? They reached out to them and they employed them. Yes, they reached out to them and they employed them. And I think their payment is actually very sweet. None of them are actually in the US also. They are, I think, the Philippines, India. So that means that the payment is actually very, very sweet for them. Now, that builds the commitment for others to also like, even if I don't want to contribute before, I'll have to contribute again. So I'm not saying there won't be glitch. But then the reason why they are moving Robstein first is to see the behavior of the chain on Robstein. Understand, I think I would recommend you, then the Ethereum developer, core developer meeting is actually like streamed live also. So you can actually join their call. They don't do it in the evening, they do it, if you don't join, if you are not able to join, they bring the minutes to Twitter every week. So you're also welcome to like join them. Thank you.
Does that work for you? Do you still want him to chip in?
Yeah, I want.
I thought he's coming for you. All right.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So yeah, you mentioned like proof of stake, but the Ethereum 2.0, right? It's not proof of stake is not the only underlying technology they're actually using, right? I mean, they have like sharding, right? So Ethereum is like, let's say, the father of smart contracts, right? And they are like the biggest blockchain community, right? Like you said, lots of developers are actually contributing to Ethereum without being paid, right? So, you were talking about, proof of stake failing, right? Binance is actually running on proof of stake. Binance Smart Chain, why hasn't it failed, right? Like there are several protocols. Solana also like proof of stake and proof of history, right? So these are like stuff that actually it has been existing, right? So they're just introducing it like, they're just introducing it like the Ethereum community. And one thing I love about the Ethereum community is that they actually listen, right? For every improvement or for everything that needs to happen on the Ethereum protocol, there is, an improvement documentation that is being written, right? The EIP documentation. So me being a very big fan of Ethereum, I can contribute to that document and I can say, oh, this thing might not scale, right? There is actually a possibility of failure here, right? And they would actually listen and engage me on, why do you think it cannot fail? And like he said, right, Ethereum always has like a fail-safe, right? Where if anything goes wrong today on, the Ethereum 2.0 launch, it doesn't affect real users. It doesn't affect real money, right? So that's why testnet exists, right? I cannot deploy a smart contract directly on the mainnet without deploying it on the testnet, right? So if it actually breaks on the testnet, I know something is wrong, right? And then I actually fix it before going to like, production or before going to like the mainnet. So that's why they're actually, rolling out the testnet first and see how it works. And when you put out stuff on the testnet, you can write your test, but until you use it, or to use your product in a real environment, you actually don't know what could go wrong, right? So there's a very, huge possibility that lots of stuff will go wrong on, the Ethereum 2.0 launch, right? But since it's a test environment, they can go back to the drawing board and actually, come back and improve the technology. So proof of stake is not, if there's anything that, will fail the Ethereum 2.0, it's not proof of stake, right? I think you should also like read more about like the EIPs, like the Ethereum improvement proposals as well, right? To like give you insights on, different technologies that are going to like, be part of like this Ethereum 2.0, right? The ones I'm more familiar with are like proof of stake and, the sharding technology. So yeah, thank you.
I have two questions. My first question is to everyone on the panel, and the second question is to Hilary. My first question is, you've shared your experience and you talked about careers in blockchain, but it looks more like you're looking for people from Web 2.0 to Web 3. But we know the way our education system is, and there are people that have not even played in the Web 2.0 space. And is there a chance for them, like people coming from, the way our education system is, we understand it, that have not played in the Web, is there a chance for them, or is there any system for them, are there opportunities for them to move without even participating in Web 2.0 to Web 3.0? And then in the hardware space, we talk about software a lot in Africa currently, probably because we are still nascent. Is there a space in the hardware space in the crypto world, in the blockchain technology world, because I know there are a lot of hashing machines and all the rest, and it's human beings that are building these things. That's the first part of my question. Second part of my question is around UX research. I'm passionate about UX research and align with Nestcoin vision of, investing in frontier markets. But when we look at internet users in Nigeria and Africa, it's easy to say, oh, there are a lot of internet users in Africa, but the percentage is still low. How do we build products that meet people in the informal sector, people that are not digital natives, because these are the people that will really make the space grow? How can we, design products, or how can we work around that will make people that are not even necessarily digital natives currently enter that space and work for them and everyone in the space? Thank you.
Okay, I think I'll start with the UX research question. So in terms of just trying to make sure that we're factoring everyone when it comes to crypto, I think that there are several ways to do that. So for one, it's by first even listening to people. I remember one of the research that we did at Nestcoin, I was interviewing a few of our community members, because Nestcoin has, I believe, a Telegram community and also a Discord community. And one of them mentioned that he was a dispatch rider, but then he played the play-to-earn games that we offered for MVM, which is our play-to-earn product. And I was surprised to hear that, because I wouldn't think a dispatch rider would know about MVM. But because of how easy we've made MVM to use, all you need is just your mobile device and an internet. And we even compensate people. We have periods where we just, we have offers for people that participate in the community or engage in community. So people can even earn money from just participating in the community, and that money can be used to buy maybe more data if that's their major concern. So just by making it easy for them, not making it complex. So all they need is their mobile device, their internet, and then we have people that guide them through every single stage of maybe the play-to-earn product that we offer, or the play-to-earn service that we offer, and that makes it easy for them to use the product. But then I also think that in general, I think in general, it can be very difficult to reach people that are maybe non-internet users, for example. So I worked at Facebook, specifically WhatsApp, for a few months, for about 6 months as a contractor. And one thing that we try to do is target next billion users. So how do we target people that are out there? They're maybe new to the internet, so they don't really know how to use the internet yet, or they're just trying to be onboarded to the internet. How do we target those people? And we actually found that there are a lot more issues that need to be addressed first before we even start saying let's create crypto products for them. And most of those issues are around education. There needs to be more education when it comes to crypto, and not just like newsletters that we have today, but even like education that they can actually have access to that aren't necessarily on the internet, whether it's communities, physical communities in locations where people that aren't on the internet are located in, or even whether it's like just diverse forms of education, and making sure that we make it simple enough for anyone to understand at all. So I think that we're taking steps towards that. And it's not going to be easy, because even for larger companies like Facebook and Microsoft, I mean, they're even struggling to even reach that audience, and they're making the effort, let alone crypto. So I think the first step is even for those people to be onboarded on the internet in the first place. And then we can talk about crypto education, and then we can now try to have them use crypto products that they can benefit from. But I guess to summarize, I think it's just us making sure that the products that we offer are, it's very easy for people to use it on their mobile devices. And again, we recently did research again on another products that we have for Nestcoin, and we found that for people that play games, some of the main things they struggle with is internet connection and data. So some of the people that we spoke with and we observed using playing games, they told us that when it comes to playing games, they don't like playing with people in foreign countries, because those people have faster internet, and so they're able to get forward, and then they're not really able to win the game because they don't have that. And I was surprised to hear that, because I don't play games, so I had no idea that existed. But knowing that, we now know that whatever game that we're going to have people play, we have to make sure that these games don't take a lot of data. They don't require like really high-level internet or really fast internet. It can be played with slow internet or even no internet at all. So I think that's why research is even important in the first place, because again, that's something that I haven't seen online a lot. Maybe people know about it, but it's not something that's said enough. The thing about internet connection and data. So being aware of these things and making strides to make sure that whatever products we offer, whatever we're building, we're factoring in all these things to make sure we're targeting everyone. Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you so much. So I think someone needs to answer the question of how to, for someone that's not in Web 2, how to move from an entirely new field to
so I think,
Web 3.
Like Larry just mentioned, there's an education problem. And blockchain is still new. So I think the smartest thing to do is to first deal with the guys that are already Web 2 users, onboard them first. Now, these Web 2 users are also close to these non-Web 2 users. Instead of, like, the truth is that you cannot spend, I'm not sure there's any company that can actually spend the marketing budget for education. Like, education is actually, like, very, very expensive, honestly. So I think once we are able to capture the Web 2 guys, the Web 2 guys as a family that are not Web 2 users, like, most of these, okay, let's take market. I was telling somebody last week that market women, if we're able to onboard market women into crypto, we'll make plenty money. Honestly, the money is in the market. Thank you very much. Like, the money is there. But then, you notice that most of these women, what they do is they send one of their children to school. Like, I think there's a Yoruba word they use that they did not read book, but they have paid for their education. So when they have problem, the child they've sent to school will be, so the same way. So our target is that child getting into Web 3. The child will be the one to now simplify at best. Like now, you notice that most of these women now, they now have Android phones. Yeah. Let's create a broadcast about something that happened that don't happen and send it. You will be amazed that you are seated here, before you get the message, is somebody in the village that will send it back to you. So how did they get to use these things? Their children wanted ease of access. They bought them the phones, teach them how to use it. So the mama is not our target. Our target is that mama's son, that mama's daughter. We now send the same child to mama. Like a number of persons in diaspora send money to somebody to give money to their parents. But imagine there is a child again in the village that knows how to use, let's say, Bondu, for example. And the P2P or the fiat, or let's say Lazerpay, the P2P, the fiat system is very, very easy. Before you know, just teach the mama, and the mama knows that you cannot, like, immediately the mama knows that, the person I've been sending money to before has been cheating out of 1,000 naira. The mama will learn how to use that app without reading. And she will use it conveniently well. But was mama our target? No. We targeted mama's daughter or mama's son. But if you want to target mama, our budget will not carry it. Thank you very much.
Let me just, that's a very fine analogy, Let me just add to that, right? So like Ayo said, it's very easy to go, we're humans, right? It's very easy to go from the known to the unknown. It's very easy that way. It's hard to just jump into the wide and the unknown, right? So Web 2, these guys are already, they're already in the space, they're already in the market, we already understand how it works. And like I said, blockchain is not in isolation. It's not one, I don't know how to describe it. It's not an alien. It didn't just fall from one planet that we don't know. So it still utilizes, DLT is a technology that's been on. Blockchain is a special kind of DLT, decentralized ledger technology, right? So these things are, it makes sense that, okay, well, it's easier and it's faster to get like people in Web 2 into the space. And because what we're looking for is adoption, right? And then how do we get adoption? We can't just get adoption out of the blues, like all of a sudden, right? It's a gradual process. So it's easier to get these guys, and it's like quick wins. So it's like when you're trying to do something, something is hard, but you do something small. There's this confidence that comes, like, okay, I think I can push further because I can celebrate this win. And then you keep going. So that's the same thing for, like, bringing in people. When you bring in Web 2, this is quick win. You can quickly win. And then it's like, okay, there's opportunity. This thing is real. And then we can like get into it. But that doesn't say that someone that is not in Web 2 at this point in time that has passion for the blockchain space cannot come in. I know of a designer codematics that came in. I mean, he went in directly into blockchain design. His first design was a blockchain design for a crypto company. Like, he didn't do Web 2 design. He wasn't working with any Web 2 company. It was straight up to like Web 3 design. Do you get? And then they're like, there's also in Web 3 ladies in our cohort one of the ladies that went through our cohort one, her name is Happiness. She did not have any software engineering experience. She didn't have any experience. She just, what did she study? It was education, one education course that she studied. And then she into Web3 ladies and then joined our blockchain mentorship track. And today she was one of the mentors for Block Games. After our cohort one, she went on to mentor others in Block Games. And it was a very intense, Block Games was a very intense mentorship. And then she was one of the mentors there. And she had no software engineering experience, and we have some of them like that in Web3 days as well. So the thing is, one other thing also is your passion. And I think I was on one Twitter space, and we're asking the lady that, how do you advise people to come into the space? And she was like, see, your readiness and your willingness to hustle. Like, guy, you have to have that hustle mentality, that hustle spirit, right? So you don't have to be in the Web2 space to come in, right? But it's easier for us to get these people in. And that's why you see that some people are like, there's a lot of focus more on the people that are in the space. But if you're not, and you have the passion, you think you can do it, then go for it. They would welcome you, and they're going to celebrate you. That's what the life is. Everybody's going to celebrate people that are successful. And to just add to just general adoption, like, okay, someone asked a question about how do you get to this kind of market, right? Like Hilary said, it's a process. Technology is a tool to solving a problem, right? It is not the solution in itself. Blockchain is not the solution in itself. It's a tool to solving a problem. So you identify a problem, this is what we want to achieve, and you're like, okay, how do we use this technology to then solve the problem? But then you have to identify the key problem, because sometimes we go to the technology to solve the problem that we have not identified yet, or we're not solving the exact problem, and we're just using technology, like, okay, technology makes life better and easy, but we need to know how to channel that technology into the problem. And I also spoke about P2P. Some days ago, I was having a conversation with a foreign company about, okay, how do we get... so he said, God, I don't want to speak about this. So CBDC, INERA, and stuff like that. Gary was asking me that. So he said the INERA is like fostering, what do they call this word? Financial inclusion, right? So, because that's like one of the like keyword most people use, financial inclusion. And I was like, okay, how do we do this? And I'm like, okay, like Hilary said, financial inclusion is one thing. Second thing is, okay, we know that to have a bank account, you need to you need some documents to have a bank account. Bank had made it easy that you can create like Kaka account without needing a document, but then there's a limit to it that you can go, right? And same thing, INERA came in and like, okay, you can transfer this, but there's a limit to which you can transfer. Even though you need to have a BVN, and to have a BVN, you need to have a bank account, and then we're back to the same problem of financial inclusion. How do we get these people on board? And so I think that P2P, right, is very powerful, and I've not seen it yet, but I was having a discussion, and we think that there's one way that P2P can play massively in this part, right? Because I also mid-mention of the fact that you're sending money to your mother in the village, and then there's one person in the village and now understands how to use this app, and can I use the app, right? So right now, P2P is, hey, you have crypto, I give you crypto, you send me cash to my bank account. Why not P2P? I have crypto, I send you crypto, you send me cash via an agent, or cash, recash, as opposed to like having a bank account, because that's one problem with financial inclusion. People don't have bank accounts. Internet is also one problem, right? So those are like different ways.
All right, thank you, Oluchi. Let me just have Njoku say in 1 minute, summarize everything we've been saying for your question.
Yeah, thanks. One of the things I want to say is that I think there's actually a lot of misconception about the blockchain, right? And the way I actually understand it is that it's actually not as complex as people put it. From the word blockchain, right? It's more like chain of blocks. That's basically what it is. And this block can hold your name. It can hold my name, right? It can store, and they're actually connected like each other. So that's actually how so in terms of like adoption, I think we need to simplify how we use these buzzwords a lot, right? Like Oluchi said, you're moving from the known to the unknown, right? So especially when I'm trying to like explain stuff like people around blockchain, I try to like relate it with what you already know or what you can see around you, right? And once we do that, we see that, you know, the education might or will become easier, right? And then adoption will actually grow. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. You want to ask a question? I just want to confirm.
We don't have a problem in Africa building hardware. But the problem is that the SAPA in our economy will not allow us to do it. Honestly, see, a number of these guys from the West, they have, so even they have enough resources. Like there's always like a fund. Like even if everything go wrong, they can always go back to governments to give them grant bailout funds. Do we have that here? So until we get to that point where we have that, let's focus on building software first.
Does that answer your question?
And I have a question, or rather, I want to get your thoughts, specifically in Njoku, but anyone can jump in because I feel it's relevant to you mostly. So, I think that, and he mentioned as well about the UST DPEG, right? A single point of failure for actionable, like real-time DeFi applications, right, is with stablecoins, right? And I kind of like want to know how you go around this, right? In terms of, okay, remittances, we know that, okay, on-ramp, off-ramp, when it gets on-ramp, it's going to be in one, you know, stable coin that everybody agrees with, right? I spoke to Obi from AppZone. There is something really exciting in that space in terms of getting banks to get on board with settlements and so on and so forth. And he told me his solution for that, you know, commodity-backed, a stable coin, whatnot. So I want to hear your thoughts about what you currently do in terms of it being algorithmic or not, and if not, if it's one-to-one, is it one-to-one to a dollar? Is it one-to-one with the CBC that we're seeing now that the government is pushing? If it's to the CBC with the Naira devaluation that's going up and down, is that still a realistic option? I want to just get your thoughts around that and like moving forward, because I feel like it's the single most important thing for adoption.
Yeah, thanks for that. So first off, anyone can actually build a stable coin, right? It's still a token, right? It's still a cryptocurrency. We have NGNT, Naira stable coin. So it's actually pegged to the Naira. There is the Japanese yen stable coin as well. We have the Euro stable coin. Now we have like the USD stable coin, which is like the most popular stable coins we actually have, right? And then there are like different kinds of stable coins, right? We have like the 4 top stable coins in the world, right? DAI, BUSD, USDC, and USDT, right? So it actually depends on the creator of the stable coin and what mechanism he actually wants to use, like make that particular coin stable, right? So for like, I mean, so yeah, so we can have like a Naira stable coin, right? Stable in the sense that one of that coin is equivalent to 1 Naira. It's not equivalent to $1. So if the Naira loses value to the dollar, that stable coin will obviously lose value to the dollar, right? It's cut across all currencies, right? So if I'm creating a stable coin and I'm like, okay, what are the mechanisms I want to like use to like tie this to the Naira? Do I want to use algorithms, or do I have cash equivalents? So for every 1 Naira token out there, there is 1 Naira representing it in the bank or somewhere. That's actually how USDC works, right? With the USDC Circle Treasury. For every 1 USDC out there, there is $1 backing it, right? I mean, same with BUSD. And also, I mean, USDT, right? There, like 8% of USDT is actually backed by dollars, but there are physical assets, there are real-world assets that are actually backing these, tokens or backing these cryptocurrencies, right? If you use, a volatile token or a volatile asset, right, to back a stable coin, I mean, if an asset is backing something, it means the success of that asset is dependent on that thing that it's backing, right? So Luna was actually, UST was actually backed by, Bitcoin and Luna. So if the price of, Luna and Bitcoin dips, what do you expect, like, happen to UST, right? Exactly. So that's, how you should think about. So what do you do for Lazerpay? I mean, yeah, thank you for that. For Lazerpay, we have to actually protect our users, right? And one of the things we do is, one, we don't accept, any token that is volatile, right? And, UST came out whenever. We'll not go and, rush and integrate UST and say, you can now pay with UST, right? We want to make sure that every stable coin we're actually integrating is either fiat back or it's also battle tested, right? I remember in 2019 when DAI almost crashed, right? It was called the Black Thursday, right? Since then, DAI has actually improved. DAI actually survived that, right? And it has actually improved. And 60% of the assets backing DAI is actually USDC, and USDC is stable, right? There is USDC, there is USDT. There are also so DAI is actually moving to real world assets houses, real world assets backing these tokens, right? So you look at USDT, USDC, and BUSD. So these are the only 4 stable coins we accept, right? And these are stable coins that in one way or the other are actually backed by real world assets, fiat cash, or basically stable assets, right? So we don't just wake up one morning and put in Bitcoin and people can pay with Bitcoin. We want to actually protect the customers, right? So yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks to our panelists. It was really insightful, and thank you to Techpoint. That's it.
Thank you so much, guys.